यस कविता जी, आपको बाद में दूंगी बोला ना? नो, ऐसा नहीं होता है। बैठिए बैठिए, जब मैंने बोला है शून्यकाल में दे दूंगी समय है। इट्स ओके। यस
Madam, out of the spices, we know that the turmeric is the third largest spice that is cultivated in our country. And Telangana being the largest cultivator of turmeric, madam, and also my constituency in particular, I am very closely associated with these farmers, and I closely know and understand their issues. In particular, madam, there is no minimum support price that is fixed. So usually it is the middlemen that get the benefit of the crop. And also there is no research support at all given to them. And particularly only out of the turmeric produced, 10% of our turmeric is only exported, madam. And there is no export infrastructure also provided. And to address all these issues, madam, I believe that only creating a separate commodity board for turmeric is a solution. And time and again in the last 1 year, I have taken up this issue with the Honourable Minister, both verbally and also in written communication, madam. So through the Honourable Speaker, madam, I want the Minister to let this House know what steps she has taken to alleviate the problems of the turmeric farmers, and also what steps she has taken towards the creation of a turmeric board, madam.
Madam Speaker, thank you. This is a very relevant question and important question because keeping the spirit of what the Honourable Member has raised in the context of turmeric, we have actually reviewed the situation of the 52 spices which are being dealt by the Spice Board, and in order to promote each of the spice for its potential fully, we have now decided that there will be 11 different spice development agency areas where particular spices will be given focus together with some other spices which are grown in that area. For instance, I'm taking the example that the Honourable Member has raised about turmeric, where, yes, that Telangana area, particularly because it grows high-quality turmeric and also large quantities at that, will be given a priority. But at the moment, the way in which the 11 different spice development agencies are going to be focused on, Tamil Nadu, the center which has been given in E-Road, will be focusing on turmeric, chili, pepper, and so on. So the idea of having the spice development agencies working under the Spice Board but independently taking care of specific spices is because we are able to focus on particular spices, and through that, because it will be chaired by the Chief Secretary of that state where it is located, together with members from other areas, we will be able to realign the resources which are given to the Spice Board, which is about, I'm taking an example, 95 crores annually, which will include all states. Then we'll be able to also pool resources from Agriculture Ministry, the Agricultural Rashtriya Krishi Vigyan Yojana funds can also come through, and the MIDH, which is focusing on horticulture, will also be able to focus on spice, which till now has been neglected. So through this rearrangement, we are hoping the attention which should be given to many of the spices which have not been fully utilized or for their potential will be able to address that issue at the moment.
Yes, second supplementary.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the answer about the spice development agencies.
Also add, the Honourable Member has rightly raised the issue that she had contacted me several times, both when she met me and also written. I'm glad to also recall that I have responded from June last year to every such correspondence because I do value the importance of turmeric in Telangana, and in fact she had suggested for setting up a spice park. I've responded saying we are looking at the potential and we shall respond the moment land is allotted by the state government.
Madam, about the land, we have already written to you that 40 acres is given by the state government. But to that letter, madam, you had replied saying that the Honourable Finance Minister has set aside the aside scheme, so you can't help us, and now the burden is on the state government, madam. So please use your good offices with Jaitley ji, and wo aside scheme hamare pe kar dijiye, ma'am. Kyunki last year was my request, and by the time land was allocated by the state government, a scheme to chala gaya, ma'am. And
madam, I have just on that specific question. Aside funds may have now been given over to the states.
But first letter complete.
All right. All right.
Please.
Madam, I would like to quote from the foreign trade policy document of the Commerce Ministry, ma'am. which says plantation products, especially spices and tea, being closely associated with brand India, help to promote Indian cuisine, lifestyle and exports, and establish a personal recall value among consumers in general. And Haldi is the best brand ambassador for India, madam. That all of us know, माननीय सारे सांसदों को मालूम है कि हल्दी का महत्व क्या है, especially भाजपा का principles जो है with Indian heritage and culture, it goes very well. But then unfortunately, madam, the kind of emphasis that you give on the culture and heritage, the same impetus is not given for the turmeric production or even the export, madam. Of late, Prime Minister ji had set up a production and export development agency for saffron, which is produced very little in our country. But whereas turmeric is also called as Indian saffron, I kindly request you, if you can do something about, if not the aside scheme, if you can set up a production and export development agency. And related to that, there is also a serious query, madam. Because of the FTA agreements, now we are importing turmeric also. Unless and until we stop the import of turmeric, madam, we cannot help our farmers. So kindly look into that, ma'am. And जले पे नमक छिड़े जैसा आपने और एक काम कर दिया, मैम. हमें तो असाइड स्कीम में नहीं दिया, लेकिन गुंटूर का जो स्पाइस डेवलपमेंट एजेंसी है, उसमें आपने हमारा तेलंगाना का टर्मरिक प्रोडक्शन का भी मैनेज करने का दे दिया, मैम. Because that is what your letter says. Till the date that you set up a separate park, our Warangal regional office is not given the responsibility, but the Guntur office is given, madam. So I request you to give the responsibility to the Warangal regional office. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member has raised several issues. One by one I would like to address. I'm grateful that the member recognizes that the government today gives a lot of priority on items which are specific to Indian traditional knowledge and so on. Taking the example of turmeric, I would like to tell her and assure the member that as regards turmeric and the kind of intellectual property related matters, we have been very keen. Recently you would have come to know through the media that we have won back-to-back several cases related to turmeric IP protection, and in that we have not lagged behind at all. As regards the Spice Development Agency, taking the example of saffron, yes, saffron required to be, however small or the quantum being a certain proportion of international trade, for Jammu and Kashmir, saffron means very significant contribution towards India's unique item for trade, and on that we wanted to give the message and also work for the development of saffron, and therefore that was specifically done. The STA that you have referred in the context of saffron is the kind of emphasis with which all other 11 centers are being set up, whether for turmeric or for other spices, dhania, jeera and so on, mint and so on. And as regards imports of turmeric, agricultural products normally are taken care of. We don't allow imports, but at the same time, where it is not possible to curb it, we cannot completely restrict the import. We'll certainly be keeping a watch on what quantum.
So you can't stop rubber import.
Whether the import is the direct cause for the suicide, I'm not able to establish, ma'am, but I will certainly find out on that. She also raised this issue about the aside, which I wanted to start answering with. Aside, certainly the funds which were given to the Commerce Ministry are now sent off to the states for them to deal with it. That doesn't exclude the states' right to utilize the funds which came from the center on aside to promote the trade of turmeric or the export of turmeric. And the Commerce Ministry has repeatedly assured any technical assistance which we have to give, we are fully willing to give the states where it is required. Aside's fund going away doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play. We shall certainly play the role. And as regards Guntur, taking care of turmeric, I'm sure the turmeric is grown both in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Warangal also has certain kind of chilies which are very unique to it, because I'm aware of Warangal's chilies. Both turmeric and chilies of Telangana will get the due attention. Ma'am, you've been speaking about the Spice Park, which is as different from SDA, the Spice Development Agency. We are giving full focus for the Spice Park. We shall help to create one there in Telangana, but that's more after the state government sends the due papers.